going backwards in my book. It will be very good to go in the right direction. I think we're going to talk about some quarry in the Northern Cape. You know what a gat in die grond is, hè? A gat in die grond. Come, let me welcome the CEO of Kumba Iron Ore.
I think I want to sit very far from you, Bernard.
Why don't you go sit there? Yeah. Sit.
I'll actually come sit here.
Yeah, hey, so you're the last Anglo asset left in the country. Are you unsellable? Does nobody want you?
You know, Bernard, there's no good afternoon, there's nothing. It's like straight to the question.
We can say good afternoon later over drinks.
Oh, okay. I think it's going to be good evening by the time we get to drinks. So I guess the question is, are we the last Kumba business, or the last Anglo American business left in South Africa? Duncan addressed that earlier, and yes, we are. And we are actually proud to remain part of the Anglo American group, and I'm sure as we engage around this, we'll touch on the reasons why. Kumba has been around the Northern Cape for over 70 years, and we are well experienced when it comes to the Northern Cape. And as Duncan said, Anglo American has been around for over 108 years. And Anglo American wants to continue growing in South Africa and in the continent as well. So I think he addressed that.
Yeah. And you obviously believe some of the stuff he said. Just checking in, you know, I mean, I know your continued employment depends.
Bernard, I figured you were checking if, you know, we are aligned. Yes, we are aligned.
You and Nima are aligned. So just give me the sense that I really don't know iron ore mining, but I think you've got a few big pieces of equipment, you load stuff on a railway line and you ship it to China. What am I missing? That's basically it, no?
So let's start with the first one. You've been calling us the small little quarry the whole day.
Yeah.
And I had Mzila commenting on the quarry and everybody else.
They're all defending you, so there's more to you than that.
That's because we are fantastic people. So what do we do? You know, we are a bulks miner, and that's what iron ore is all about. So the small quarry moves on average over 250 million tons per annum, and that clearly includes both ore and waste.
250 million.
250 million tons. So let's put it in context, because I know there are some in the audience that are not miners. So take FNB Stadium, because all of us know FNB, and multiply it by over 300. You know, so because remember, the amounts of volumes that we move change in different years because we mine in different pits, and they've got different strip ratios. But you are talking about 300 to 400 FNB stadiums that we move per annum.
But don't fill that with iron ore now, FNB stadium.
No, we don't. So what we do, Bernard, simplistically, like any other bulks miner, we move volumes. We've got a wonderful plant that we treat our material through, both at Sishen and Kolomela. We are currently investing at Sishen, upgrading our current plant, so spending just over 11 billion rand of capital. We'll touch on that a little bit later. And then ultimately, we recover high quality premium iron ore. So there are different types of iron ore. You get companies that recover iron ore that sits with an Fe or iron content of around 55%. Well, we pride ourselves over the fact that our iron ore sits at above 64%. And in addition to that, we also differentiate ourselves around the fact that we produce, in terms of 2/3 of our product, what we call lump. And it's a specific product. And it's linked to what Mother Nature gives you. So you can't necessarily, you know, make it up. And that's what the Northern Cape effectively gives us. And that allows us to differentiate ourselves, because when people talk about us in the country, they talk about our size. But then I remind everybody that when you look across the globe and say, what is our share in terms of overall volumes produced? Well, guess what? It's less than 5%. Because the top 4 producers are way bigger than us. But where we trump them is around the quality piece, and that's where we are then able to earn into the product premiums. And the last thing that I'll mention, promise you it's the last one, is the fact that what makes Kumba iron ore what it is our people, because people are our business. We've got wonderful people, and I've heard you talking about people and investments and skills, etc. Well, I will absolutely tell you that I'm proud of the men and women at Kumba when I look at the various things that they do across the various aspects of our business.
So, I really know very little about iron ore mining, but there's something like a Sishen iron ore price. There's a premium you get for
Yes.
your ore, and that is great, is it? And lumpiness, is that the combination? You get
So
more for your iron ore
We
than
get
somebody
more
else.
for our iron ore. So we always talk about the benchmark price that everybody gets, assuming that their product, let's call it, is a 62% Fe product. Well, whenever we sell, we get a premium on top of that. And that's linked clearly to the quality of our iron ore. It's linked to the fact that we sell lump. And there's also the marketing premium, as we call it, simply because we've got a wonderful team from a marketing perspective. I know that you spoke about China, but we don't just sell into China. We have China, we have Europe, we have Japan, and we have South Korea as well. And by virtue of them selling our ore, and they actually also capitalize on the fact that the broader Anglo American group also has Minas Rio in Brazil. And through that, they are then able to earn us better premiums. And when I look at the first half with the challenges that have been taking place in the broader markets, well, guess what? They were able to earn us an 8% premium above the benchmark price. And that's why we always say that we focus on quality. And as we invest in the ultra-high dense medium separation project, it's a technology project, it's all about improving our business. So it's all about reducing our cutoff grade. You are a miner, so you get the essence of the beauty of that, because it means that we'll get to divert material that currently goes into the waste stream, our C-grade material, so between 40 to 48% Fe, into the material that goes into the plant. And even with us treating a lower grade material, we'll get better premium products. And that's what our business is all about.
So
and through that, you get optionality to extend the life of your business.
Yeah. So on August the 29th, Kumba gives nod to UHDMS in 7.6 billion commissioning plan. This is what we're talking about.
We're talking about the ultra-high dense medium separation. So we went to the markets to tell them that we were restarting this ultra-high dense medium separation project.
And is it up and
We
running?
are Africans, ne? So it also has an African name. It's called Project Koketso. So when you go to
Koketso.
Sishen, you'll hear Koketso, Koketso.
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 And that means ultra-high density medium separation. Okay. I love the African language. I mean, it's beautiful.
I don't
Koketso.
think African language knew about this technology in the past. But coming back to it, it's all about, it's technology that allows us. So iron ore is very heavy, and the rest of the gang material is light. And this project allows us to increase the cutoff grade. And with that, we also get a cleaner quality product.
That's a lot of
this
money,
is all
Wena.
about.
That's a lot of money. So
Good
is
project.
it up and running? 8 billion rand, 7.6
We announced
billion.
on the 29th of August. We need to build, we need to construct. So
It's
there's
like a
still
year
more
ago.
that we need to do.
Okay. So
Yeah.
there's a bit more to it. So
So
this is in the pipeline.
It's in the pipeline. We are converting an old plant. We have started with the conversion of the first fines and cores modules. Next year, we'll do what we call a tie-in of the various sections, and then we'll continue with the conversion of other modules and close off on the construction in 2028 and do the final ramp up. But as we convert, because it's modules, we convert and start utilizing that specific module, which essentially will allow us to actually start getting the benefits of the project from the end of next year.
So I want to go back a little bit because then we can go forward. I mean, you were caught in the Transnet inability to export. You built a huge stockpile until you decided that's unsustainable. I think you did some layoffs in order to reorganize. So just talk us through that. Where is that behind you? Did you do that? Did you deplete the stockpile? And then we'll get to Transnet in the future.
Yeah, Bernard, so very sadly for us, because of the challenges, and I'll talk about what we're doing with Transnet a little bit later, but because of the challenges that we had, we were in a position where we were producing over 40 million tons per annum, because that's essentially what we thought we were going to be able to get from a performance perspective. But sadly, the performance just kept reducing. So we had the first year, we had the second year, third year, and in the fourth year, we actually did an independent technical assessment together with Transnet and had a look at the list of things that needs to be fixed. And it's quite a long list. And we had to face the sad reality that it will take a little bit of time for everything to be fixed and for us to go back to the volumes that we would like to mine and sell. And as a result of that, and yes, our stockpile peaked at 9 million tons, which is a lot. And to put it in context, our normal areas where we keep the stockpile or our material from a stockpile perspective were all full. And we started trucking out material. And like any miner, you would know, you would typically truck out to areas that are closest to you and then continue moving and extending those distances. And we got into a space where it was just not safe, firstly, because mines were not designed for us to do that. And secondly, we ran out of space. And thirdly, it was just not the right thing to do.
It's a lot of
it was
money
costing
that
a
goes
lot of
into
money.
it,
And
yeah,
remember, we've got to track that back at some point. And that's when we then made the decision that we needed to reconfigure our business for a lower volume of around 35 to 37 million tons, whilst we work with Transnet and the rest of our partners around the logistics challenges, because we just needed to make sure that we continued running our business efficiently. And I have to say, you know, it's not easy when you go through layoffs. And for us, it sadly included us parting ways with some of the companies that work for us as our service partners or contractors, as you call them. And it was sad to engage them, but we felt that it was the right thing to do because it was about reconfiguring the business to make sure that we would be profitable, because we all know, you know, commodity cycles go through the various changes, and we needed to make sure that we'd still be profitable. And essentially, if the logistics performance improves, or when it improves, then we would then look at stepping our volumes back up.
So this bottleneck must have cost you billions of rand
Yeah.
in lost opportunity cost, actual cost and opportunity
Yes.
cost.
It did.
So Advocate Michelle takes your calls. When you call, does she answer?
Michelle definitely does answer. And I mean, I said I'd talk about what we are doing with Transnet right now. Because when we all started off as the industry, and Roger referred to it, and Zila a little bit, initially, you know, you start off complaining and saying, these are the challenges. And we got into a space where we realized that we just needed to collaborate with Transnet.
That was
And-
after you told Portia that you would just take over the line. I think here publicly.
We
That
never
was
told
fun.
Portia that we'd take over the line.
Oh, I thought I heard that. But that was a fun conversation.
No, man, it's that time. I think she was speaking Zulu, and so you misunderstood
Ah,
that.
okay. I
Come on,
think
I
she
ha- I
was
have to
speaking
have-
very blunt English. But hey, what do I know?
No. So,
But so you moved from confrontation
no,
and frustration to collaboration.
So we work with Transnet, and credit to Michelle and her team, Soli and the rest of the team. Together with the rest of the Ore Users Forum, and these are the other users of the line in terms of the ore export channel. We've grouped ourselves into what we call the Ore Users Forum, and we engage Transnet as a collective with the aim of us helping them with defining solutions. And we've been able to partner around some areas that yielded value for us, where they had massive breakdowns. So we've decided that fundamentally we need to work with them, and they've opened up their doors for us to see through their business, and that's allowed us to collaborate effectively. However, in as much as clearly we are looking at that, as you know, we've always advocated for greater private sector participation. So what's also pleasing is the fact that through the Department of Transport, we have actually seen the department making positive moves when it comes to the liberalization of this sector. You've seen a couple of things coming out, the network statement, third-party operators, and a couple of other things. And you also may have heard about the request for information, or the RFI phase that they went through, with the aim of figuring what the private sector believes should be done in the various channels. And that is certainly something that we welcome and will continue engaging around that.
I want to go to earlier this year, 2 months ago, you recouped 942 million in the take-or-pay penalties from Transnet. So my tax money already sponsors you through Transnet. Now you win a case. I mean, I feel like 1 million of that comes out of the Swanepoel Family Trust. To give us the background. This makes no sense. So we as a country bails Transnet out annually. You win a case or something against them.
So firstly, there was no case.
There should have been a case.
We have a contract, and the contract actually works
Both ways, yeah.
It's a take-or-pay contract, and actually, historically, I'm told around about 2017 or whenever it was, as Kumba, we had to pay Transnet, because it works both ways.
You couldn't deliver into the volumes, yeah. No, at the time, that must have been the thing.
That must have been
yeah.
the factor. So this time around, the reason why I guess the figure was a little bit high is because we had been engaging around the take-or-pay clause for quite a few years, so circa 3 years. And we then were able to settle on the 942 million rands, which is what we subsequently declared in our financial statements. So nothing untoward, typical contract, take-or-pay. We engaged, it's just that it was an accumulation of a couple of years.
You may not want to answer the question, the next one, so you can invoke some, I don't know, it's some right.
Where's that little red button?
No, put it away, yeah. But we'll have this conversation with Michelle tomorrow. So, the export volumes are incrementally going up. It doesn't feel like Transnet is yet a sustainable, viable business. I mean, we cannot as a country continue to support anything at the rate at which it's been supported. What's your view? Because this is your lifeblood. I mean, this is, if Transnet falls over, Kumba's in deep trouble. Are you as worried as I am about Transnet still?
I think two things, Bernard. So what we have certainly seen is we saw a phase where the decline in performance for the OEC was sharper.
That's behind us, hopefully.
What we are grateful for is that we've seen a little bit of stabilization, albeit from a lower base. And it's interesting, our investors and analysts, when we essentially were engaging them around about the half year, we're talking about the fact that in the first half of this year, we saw a 4% improvement. And they were saying, boom, it's an improvement. And I was saying, no. For a typical miner, we talk about stabilization, which we appreciate, but clearly what we need to see is an improvement back to where we know the line can perform. So if I then take a step back, and Roger briefly spoke about this, so we all know about the National Logistics Crisis Committee, which is the collaboration between our government and the private sector through Business for South Africa. We all decided as the business sector, especially big business, that we needed to collaborate with government when it comes to the massive challenges that we have in the country. So around energy, around transport and logistics, around crime and corruption, and the huge challenge that we have around unemployment. So if I look at the logistics sector, there are 3 CEO sponsors. You know the first one, Xolisi Mgocho, the ex-CEO of Exxaro, and currently our president when it comes to Business Unity South Africa, Obusa. The second one is Andrew Kirby, who is the CEO of Toyota. And I'm the 3rd CEO sponsor. And the reason why I've taken this role and why we work with everybody else in the sector, and this is not just mining, Bernard, it's mining, it's agriculture, it's the auto sector, and, is simply because all of us want to see this challenge being resolved. So if you look at the various work streams, I'll couple them into 2 buckets. The first couple of work streams are looking at driving for stabilization and improvement. And then there's a couple of other work streams that are looking at the reforms for this sector. Because what we do know is that there's a lot of capital and additional resources required to take things back to where they were historically. So you can imagine, if you don't do maintenance or proper maintenance for a period of 5 years, it's not like that maintenance disappears. It waits for you. And if anything, things keep getting worse.
Yeah.
So what we all would like to see, and it is something that Minister Barbara Creasy is driving for, is greater private sector participation. And that's through collaboration, because there's no one single party that can resolve the challenges that exist. And I'm sure that Michelle will say the same thing. So Michelle will tell you about the collaboration that she drives with her customers, and clearly as Kumba, we are one of them. And through the OUF, we engage with Transnet. But secondly, if I had a wish list, it would be for us to actually see the speed of the reforms being driven just with at a slightly higher pace. Yeah.
Paul made an interesting point this morning when I pushed him on the unsustainable tariffs or rates of Eskom. My interpretation was it's almost like we will not be able to stop that, so we need to deregulate. Is that where we are with Transnet? I mean, are they going to solve their balance sheet problem by giving you higher rates? That's also not sustainable.
So if I look at our business as Kumba, we've got a contract. And when we look at the annual increases, they are driven by the contract.
So
clearly, at some point, we'll have to renegotiate those contracts. But we do have contracts, and that's the contract that we used when we were engaging around the take or pay. And I'll say it again, there were no courts involved. It was us sitting across the table through the gentleman who leads the space in my team, Vempi Pinar. I like him, he's bold.
Yeah,
I keep saying to him, I like
that
the fact
hair from 35.
So whenever we meet people, I say to people, when I first met Vempi, he didn't have any hair, because I don't want people to think that he lost his hair because of this role here. But it was through engagement. So we've got the contracts. The key around this is, clearly we know that there's additional work that needs to be done. So what we have been engaging on with Transnet is things such as the mutual collaboration agreement, where the private sector can step in to do a piece of work, but then we'd need to get our money back through some sort of tariff reduction or something along the lines. Clearly the benefit of that is that there would be speed when it comes to the execution of the work. And Michelle may talk about other avenues that she's exploring when it comes to driving for collaboration with the customers. And not just for this channel, the O export channel, but the coal channel, manganese, and all other channels.
I will definitely.
And we welcome that.
Yeah, I will definitely explore with her the sustainability, because if she can't increase your tariffs and she annually has to be bailed out, it doesn't feel as sustainable to me, but then I'm just an observer. Fahima, I want to ask, please comment on when you expect to see a recovery in the iron ore price.
Fahima. So it's interesting, hey, because...
Where is Fahima? I saw her, but she sits there.
Yeah.
I saw her
Hi,
earlier.
Fahima. Thanks for the question. Clearly, I hope you're as passionate about this industry as I am. It's actually, the iron ore industry is interesting, hey? Two things. It's interesting. So I joined Kumba just over 3.5 years ago. And there's a gentleman in our Anglo American group team who's shown me various graphs of projections that people have had around iron ore for the past circa 13 years. And it's interesting, if you look at the projections that people had, they projected that on a go-forward basis, that iron ore was going to fall off the cliff, so prices were going to reduce significantly. And iron ore has actually always outperformed their projections. So that's the first thing. And it's interesting, whenever we engage with the analysts, they tell us the same thing, that people always think that iron ore is going to fall off the cliff. And if I look at where things are right now, clearly it's driven by a whole lot of factors, primarily from when one looks at China, the challenges that we've seen in the property sector, and a couple of additional challenges. But have a look at where prices are running right now, considering the fact that it's the challenging space when one looks at the cycle. Prices are still above $100 per ton. Currently averaging around $103 to $104 per ton. So that's iron ore for you. I think there's the element where people always think that it's going to fall off the cliff, and others will tell you that clearly they've seen something different. I think what we can't move away from is that we are currently in a challenging space when it comes to the industry. But that's where companies like ourselves as Kumba, we drive for the element of differentiating ourselves because we want to see those additional premiums to the benchmark price. And that's where companies like ourselves also invest, because we also take a long-term view around where we believe things will move to in the future.
This is the next question, so I just want to interrupt to put the question to you then. Is Kumba's focus on growth, or is it on sustaining operations? So just the investment, the capital allocation question. And is your replacement and stripping capital aligned with the long-term sustainability of your assets? Are you investing in that or body
Yeah,
of
interesting
house?
enough. So I'll share a couple of figures with you. So every miner in the room knows that on an annual basis, you deplete your resources, you know. And let me talk reserves right now, okay? So let me talk exploration first. So if I look at our data over the last 10 years, we've spent just over 4 billion rands on exploration. And clearly that includes both brownfields exploration, so close to our assets, and also greenfields in terms of areas where we believe we can grow. And the bulk of that has been in the Northern Cape. If I then look at where we are right now, considering the fact that we've been depleting on an annual basis, we've still been able to grow our reserves by 20%, even with us depleting our reserves. And Bothwell, our CFO, tells me the story that he's been at Kumba for just over 8 years. And the life of mine of Kumba has been around 14 years for those
14,
14 years for 8 years. So if you think about it, what does that mean? It means that on an annual basis, we keep investing to essentially both replace and consider the element of growth. So that's the one piece, just around exploration. And then the second piece is, you know, we fundamentally believe that when one looks at how you can change your cost curve, you've got to consider technology. And that's where the ultra-high dense medium separation technology comes in for us. Because either you can continue running with your typical technology, or you need to introduce technology that helps you to ensure that you can still drive for, whether you call it sustaining or growth, but you need to drive actively for that. So if you think about it, when the announcement was made around the ultra-high dense medium separation project and the full
by
capital,
that other name, give us.
UHDMS, Koketso.
Yeah, that one, yeah.
No, you need to forget that. You need to be part of the Kumba team, the awesome,
okay.
ORE, by the way, Kumba team to call it Koketso.
Koketso, okay.
The jokes aside, so the reason for that investment, even with the challenges that we are seeing from a Transnet perspective, is because we are in the long-term game when it comes to this industry.
So you've addressed the replacement, you've addressed technology, stripping rates. Are you stripping at the right rate? Because that
Yes,
is
we do strip. So, but let me tell you.
So there's no backlog developing because of...
So if you look at Sishan, actually, let me talk a little bit about the reconfiguration. So reconfiguration, we decided that we will continue investing heavily in Sishan because you don't want to run two assets suboptimally. It just doesn't make sense. And that's where the investment into the UHDMS essentially came in. And with that investment, we've been able, because remember, we are moving our cut-off grade, or we are reducing our cut-off grade. So we've been able to reduce our stripping ratio from a Sishan perspective, life of mine stripping ratio, from 4 to 3.6. And that's what technology essentially does. And clearly we continue looking at the old historical C grade. Luckily for us, those who were there before us stored that separately. So we see that as a growth avenue, and it's something that our technical and strategy team is essentially looking at through Quarry in our team. So we continue looking at that. What we did at Kolomela is that it's interesting. Kolomela, we had just invested around 7.6 billion rands in the Kapstevel South pit. We had to slow it down for a little bit, but we have now gone back to Kapstevel South and looking at so we are mining it in 3 phases, Kapstevel South 1, 2, and 3. If you understand strip mining, you'd most probably get it. So we've now gone back, opening up Kapstevel South number 2. So like typical open pit or open cast miners, we understand the need for us to keep our business balanced because you don't want to mine yourselves into a corner.
So we're going to run out of time and people want to go for a drink, but I want to ask, so you came to Kumba from Z.B.S?
Yes, I did.
Yes,
I don't like where this is going.
I just want to say...
Whilst you think of your question, iron ore has
There's
humbled
no question.
me.
I made my point.
It's humbled me in one space. So at Z.B.S, whenever we needed to move our product, and Barend is not here right now, you'd call one charter company, and if you had issues with it, you'd call another charter company, and your material will be moved because clearly we're talking about diamonds. And what's been humbling with iron ore is that when you're talking about
Michelle,
the volumes that you move.
or Michelle.
Hey. It's hello, Michelle. It's hello, Soli. But outside of that, Bernard, it's been absolutely fantastic. I spoke about the fact that ultimately our business is all about people. And I am super proud of all the wonderful people that we've got in our business. And that for me always extends to our contractors. And interestingly enough, I know we didn't talk about the social space, but it extends to our communities as well. So 80% of our people are based in the Northern Cape. And I proudly say to people that we are a Northern Cape company. Because when I look at John Taule Gaitsewi district as well as Tsansabani, well, guess what? That's where our people are.
So in 3 years from now, perhaps 4 years, today, I sit here, I hear you and Duncan say you're a world-class asset that fits into Anglo. Will I still hear that in 3 and 4 years, 5 years from now? Will I still hear you world-class and you fit into Anglo's strategy?
Why should that change?
Hey, the world changes. So we'll ask her back in a couple of years. We'll do a check-in, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
I know I had to beg you to not come with slides, to come with your story. I think it's a compelling story. I can see why Anglo is still holding on. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It must be 5, 6 years ago when I met her, and I thought, my God, these young girls, they should be at school and they're running Z.B.S. Now, fortunately, she's a few years older now. So, ladies, gentlemen, I hope day one lived up to your expectations. There's no difference between day one and day two in terms of what we do. We just can't fit everything into a day. The one difference is we leave Gwede for last. There are 2 reasons. The one is if he doesn't pitch, we drink earlier and we're all relieved. He's done that to me once. The second, more important reason is we do talk about an industry which is deeply interrelated with our government and the policies of the country. And obviously it's very relevant, not for the minister to upfront come and tell us, but to in closure, take these 2 days reflections and speak into them. And he does that, bluntly, as he does. So it is definitely worth being here tomorrow afternoon when Gwede will take all the cheap shots back out at me. That's my role. But he will come and tell us what he made of the 2 days worth of conversation. But there's a lot more to tomorrow than just that. So if you have a drink with us, of course, please do be responsible out there. I begged you yesterday to rather use Uber than your own car after a drink, but let's keep that in mind. And thank you, Paula and team. I thought it was another good day, and I have certainly earned a glass of wine. Thank you very much.